This is Matt Jones from Luzerne County. We're going to be recording this meeting, and your participation in the meeting is your permission. We can record you. We do that so that we can take more accurate minutes and make sure that we capture the items of the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to go around the room.
Good afternoon, Kristen Magnana. I'm Senior Development Development for Lackawanna County, and I'm on both the MPO coordinating committee and
I'm Kay McMahon with the Alliance. I'm the proxy for Alan Grants, and today I'm technical.
And I'm Mary Liz Donato for the planning, Lackawanna County Planning Department, also in the technical committee, the MPO.
I'm Jonathan Shaw, I'm a transportation planner with Luzerne County, and I'm on the technical committee.
I am Jessica Edwards, Lackawanna County Regional Planning Manager.
Hi everyone, Eric Middleton, Lackawanna County Transportation Planning Manager.
Larry Molsky, President of the Pennsylvania Northeast Regional Railroad Authority, and I'm on the technical.
Susan Hazelton, PennDOT District 4 Assistant District Executive for Design and Review.
Good afternoon, Richard Roman. I'm the District Executive for PennDOT District 4 Dunmore. I'm on the coordinating committee, and I'll be taking over for Bob Fume today. Couldn't make it.
Carl Beardsley, I'm the Executive Director of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton International Airport.
Gerard Babinski, District Bridge Engineer for PennDOT on the technical.
Romilda Crocmo, Luzerne County Manager.
Hi, I'm Rob Manzella from Luzerne County, transportation planner.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Jones. I'm the Planning and Zoning Director with Luzerne County, and I'm on the technical committee.
I'm Tom Riley from Riley Associates, and we're city engineer for the city of Scranton, and we're representing the mayor of Scranton on technical and coordinating.
I'm Barbara Halton Peterson. I'm an proxy for Lackawanna County.
And I'm Frank Simal, also from Drew Peterson, and I'm here today as an extension of the forum in the technical community, but also to personally present a proposed project that's on the agenda for Carroll Fund.
Back in the audience. Hi, Mary Roselle, I'm the division head of Arctic
I'm Jennifer Cora, the Unit for Operational Services.
And a few for that district coordinating.
Good morning, John Trinity, PennDOT District 4 Cooking Program.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Dan with the Heating Department. There. I read that part all the time.
Okay, I believe that's it. So Dean, I'm going to kick it over to you to let us know about the Sunshine Act requirements and start the meeting.
Do you have anybody online?
Do you want, yeah. Mary Liz, you want me to start off the people online, and then I'll just kick it to somebody else. So I'm Dean Roberts. I'm PennDOT Central Office. I'm the chair of the technical committee meeting, and until further notice, I am on the coordinating committee meeting. And then I will send it over to Mr. Funkhauser.
Thank you, Dean. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Funkhauser with Michael Baker. We are consultant support to the Lackawanna Luzerne MPO. Now I'll flip it over to Emily, my colleague.
Hi, everybody. Afternoon. My name's Emily Webb. I'm a transit planner working with Brian Funkhauser at Michael Baker International as a consultant. Should I just kick it to the next person?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Looks like Jennifer Andes is next on the list.
Oh, hi, this is Jen Andes from Times Leader, just covering the meeting. Thanks.
Hey, Kathy, why don't you go ahead?
Good afternoon, Kathy Bednar, Grants Coordinator, LCTA, Technical Committee. I'll pass it on to Ralph Sharp.
Ralph Sharp, Director, Hazelton Public Transit. I don't know who, I just got on here, so I'm a little out of sorts there. I don't know who's next.
That's okay,
here.
Ralph. We'll kick it off to Mr. Barry, Mark Barry. No answer. How about we try you, Christine?
Hi, this is Christine DiTuri with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Bureau of Recreation and Conservation.
Okay, thank you. Nick?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Nick Fogg, Director of Project Management for.
And let me see who else. Dominic, did we cover you, buddy?
No, Dominic Unuzi with Benish, and we're here on behalf of Luzerne County, and we're going to be presenting on the West Nanticoke Bridge.
Okay, and then I'll go ahead and name above Aaron Whitney. Nobody. Stephanie, did I talk to you?
Hi, Stephanie Molesky. I'm on the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Wonderful. Mr. Eric Middleton, did we cover you, sir?
Yeah, Dean, I'm here in person. I'm just joining online for attendance purposes.
Ah, boy, you know me. I'm always spot on. Hey, how about Denise?
Hi, this is Denise Corcoran from Arcel.
Okay, thank you very much. Did I miss anybody? And I apologize if I did.
Dean, I'm sorry. This is Aaron Whitney. I'm with the Scranton Chamber of Commerce, Director of Facilities and Asset Management.
Okay, thank you very much. And if that's it, I'll kick us off as per the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act and federal public notices requirements. This meeting was advertised in the Scranton Times, Wilkes-Barre Citizen Voice, the Hazleton Standard Speaker. The meeting and agenda were posted on the LLTS MPO website more than 24 hours prior to the meeting to meet the requirements of the Sunshine Act. Were there any requests from any of the county to have public access to the meeting?
Not like what?
Luzerne County didn't receive a request.
Okay. I think that'll take us into our agenda then. Do we have any public comments for any items up to discussion that are not on the agenda? Hearing none. Let's move on to item number 2, action items. Approval of the January 9th, 2024 Combined Technical and Coordinating Committee meeting minutes. If you want to take about 30 seconds to brief over this real quick, then I'll make a motion.
Dean, it's Susan. I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Sue. Do I hear a second from anyone from the technical committee?
Second, Matt Jones.
Second from Matt Jones. Wonderful. With that second, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I believe, Rich, the way we do it, then this comes to you, sir.
All in favor of the minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rich. Thank you. I believe that'll take us down to action item B, 2023 TIP actions. And I know Mr. Fisher is gone. I was wondering why I was so quiet. So I believe, John, that you were going to handle any TIP actions?
I'll get it.
Okay. Is it you, Emma? Oh, sorry.
So you know, county. Really where they were stuck prior to the meeting. You do have one for the split up. It is stretching increase over 91.
I gotta apologize to all of you in the room. You're really cutting out. I believe in the,
115 project.
yeah, and it's an amendment, so we will need a vote. Just so you know, Sue, is supposed to go to PMC here this month, but I believe the meeting was canceled. So as per our regular routine, then it usually gets walked through. So we should be getting an answer on that somewhat soon. So with that said, for the amendment to, for the increase of the SR 115 over 81, do I hear an amendment do I hear a motion to approve this amendment? Do I hear a second?
Okay.
I'm going to take it that there was a second there. All in favor of the motion?
Keep losing Wi-Fi. Yeah.
All opposed?
Dean, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you a little better now. I guess I owe Sue an apology. I will promise I make the next meeting in person if you'll have me. I'm gonna. Is that that was?
Wi-Fi?
Would it help if he hung up and got?
No, I think it's all
Yeah.
right. The airport's Wi-Fi is dropping off. Dean, can you hear us?
It seemed like it, unfortunately, a few bursts through there. It's all pretty good. Do you have a strong battery, Eric?
Hold on. And everybody on the line.
Yeah, there for just a couple of moments. It's not promotion. The common. It's on.
We're gonna have to drop.
I think we are.
Yeah. Stronger. Do you have a good battery?
Yeah, I think you can last.
Jeff, I don't.
Guys, thanks for holding on with us. We're just having some technical difficulties here. I think we're going to, are we in agreement that we should drop the call and rejoin? Okay.
Set the pick, whichever laptop has a better Wi-Fi and we have a plug for it, that's better because it's gonna drain my battery.
Guys, it looks like it's a Wi-Fi issue here at the airport. So thank you for your patience. All right, guys, thank you again for your patience. We're going to disconnect the call and then rejoin. It shouldn't affect you on your end, but just bear with us a couple moments.
Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. We're having some Wi-Fi issues at the airport, so trying to get it straightened out, but thanks for your patience.
All right, everyone, can you see my screen and hear us?
We hear you. We do not see you.
We can see your Outlook screen though.
Yes.
We just use the call and have Eric share his screen.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, guys, we're almost settled. Just bear with us a couple more moments.
Did recall, make sure to confirm that they're back.
Guys, can everyone hear us and see the screens acceptably?
Yes.
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Okay.
So where were we? We're taking.
Dean, you can hear, right?
Yeah, I still a little muffled. I believe the technical, can you folks hear me okay? I believe the technical committee was taking a vote on the SR 15 over I-81, and I asked for a motion to approve the amendment of the cost increase of SR 115 over 81.
And Dean, all I was going to do is give everyone just a quick overview of what the project is. This is a project that's been on the tip for a little bit of time. It's to reestablish the movement from 115 northbound to 81 southbound. We look to be bidding that in mid-May. So there's an amendment to provide for proper funds for construction phase. So now, Dean, you can entertain a motion.
Okay, thank you, Sue. With what Sue said, I think I would also note that we had some statewide funds dedicated to this project. So it's nice when Harrisburg can contribute sometimes. So with that said, from the technical committee, may I hear a motion to approve the SR 115 project over 81 or for the cost increase of such project?
Make motion, Gerard Babinski.
Thanks, Gerard. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, second. I didn't catch a name, so whoever's taking minutes, if you got that name, I'd appreciate it. With that, all in favor of the motion? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Rich, I believe I'll throw it over to you, sir.
Coordinating committee asking for a motion to approve the tip amendment for 115/81.
I'll make the motion, Tom Riley.
Is there a second?
Rich, I'll second. Dean Roberts.
Second?
Thank you. Ramil. All in favor? Aye. Go ahead, Dean. Thanks. All opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Thanks, Rich.
You got you in the mix.
Okay, folks, our next item agenda is the subject of the West Nanticoke Bridge in Luzerne County. And to kick off that discussion, Ramil DeCrocomo is here from the county manager's office from Luzerne County.
Good afternoon, and thank you for considering our request. What I will be asking at the end of the presentation is that the MPO provide a vote to confirm that the West Nanticoke Bridge was taken off long-range transportation plan, put onto the 12-year plan tip with the understanding that PennDOT $5 million in state funding to the project in 2029 and another $5 million in 2031 for structure work. I'm making this request because the county is in the process of considering options to fix or replace the bridge. And so everyone understands the cost estimates today range between $39.6 million and $64 million. The West Nanticoke Bridge has serious fatigue concerns. There's fracture critical elements, and the weight posting already has reduced to 15 tons, and we're now in the midst of another inspection. The bridge was built in 1919. It's 1,922 foot span. It was last rehabilitated in 1987, and it's located outside the design footprint any state-owned bridges. The West Nanticoke Bridge is the sole financial responsibility of Luzerne County. Next slide, please. A picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm going to quote the NTSB chairwoman, Jennifer Homendy, after the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed in January of 2022. The Fern Hollow Bridge catastrophe must serve as a wake-up call that we cannot take our infrastructure for granted. Only through diligent attention to inspection, maintenance, and repair can we ensure the roads and bridges and tunnels we all traverse every day are safe for traveling public. Lives depend on it. Ignoring that wake-up call of Fern Hollow Bridge collapse and not fully addressing the West Nanticoke Bridge, Luzerne County's largest infrastructure liability will be catastrophic from a public safety standpoint and for the economy. County and local emergency Nanticoke Fire Chief Mark Bonko have identified the West Nanticoke Bridge as a critical public safety project that saves lives and reduces insurance costs for homeowners. Next slide, please. There is a significant impact on emergency services. The Nanticoke City Fire Department provides service to the greater West Nanticoke area of Plymouth Township and utilizes the Broad Street Bridge to respond to more than 100 calls per year. The Nanticoke City Fire Department has a rapid intervention team that responds all the way to the Columbia County border. Route 11 via the Broad Street Bridge is the most expeditious way for the Nanticoke City Fire Department to reach these areas of Luzerne County. Newport Township responds when there is a 2-alarm fire emergency in Plymouth Township using the Broadway Street Bridge. Nanticoke Community Ambulance uses Broad Street Bridge at least once a day. In addition to the city of Nanticoke, they are the EMS provider for Plymouth Township, which is across the bridge. Next slide, please. More evidence of the deterioration of the bridge. It is, and I may be saying something as an understatement, in poor condition. Approximately 6,369 vehicles cross the bridge each day, and 500 of these are trucks. More than 10,000 residents and over 4,000 households are within a 5-minute drive of the bridge. There are also 291 businesses with over 2,000 employees within a 5-minute drive. Next slide, please. The impact of local businesses is equally significant. There are 291 businesses located within 5 minutes of the bridge, including 48 retail establishments, 27 eating and drinking places, all which, by the way, are very good. And I welcome all of you to visit Luzerne County. 200 healthcare and social assistance providers, and 62 service businesses. In the area immediately surrounding the bridge, within a mile, there are 91 businesses. Investing $90 million in the construction of the South Valley Parkway has leveraged more than $1 billion in private investments and has helped create more than 7,000 new jobs in the last 5 years in the communities of Hanover Township, Nanticoke, and Newport Township. NEPA is #1 in jobs created, #1 in manufacturing jobs created, and #1 in private investment in economic development. Community and economic development leaders have identified the West Nanticoke Bridge as essential to sustaining the progress that has leveraged $1 billion in private investment, which has created more than 7,000 new jobs and generating millions of dollars in new tax revenues for schools, local communities, and Luzerne County. The West Nanticoke Bridge is a key to all new economic development opportunities on the last 5,000 acres of developable land in the Wyoming Valley. Next slide. These are the many areas in Newport Township that are zoned as mining, shown in brown, and these areas could be developed in the future for our area's growth and opportunity. At this time, I invite Dominic Unuzzi to discuss the engineering options for the bridge.
Thank you, Ramilda. I'll wait a second until the engineering presentation is brought up. I am Dominic Unuzzi with Alfred Benish and Company, as well as John Connect from Benish is also on the line. John worked extensively on this study that we're going to present here, some of the summary items on. And I'm going to just do a quick summary and build upon what Ramilda said, which there's not much more to build upon on Ramilda's presentation there. So This is our most updated presentation of April 2024. It's called County Bridge Number 2, West Nanticoke Bridge. And we started this study of January of 2023. Next slide, please. There we are, finish. Next slide, please. There's the project location. What was that, Beth? What was that?
I didn't put my picture on my slides, Dominic.
Oh, okay. We'll get you on the next one, Ramilda, okay? There's a project location. It would be to the north of Nanticoke, in between Nanticoke and West Nanticoke at the end of Broadway Street. And that's County Bridge Number 2. Next slide, please. Ramilda touched upon many of these items, constructed 1914. As you can see in the upper right-hand side, the bridge is made of, we'll say, pin connections of steel bars. Rehabilitated 1987, 1,922 feet long. It's currently posted at 15 tons, which I believe is overdue. We just completed an inspection last week and the week prior. And we believe after requesting a rating request from the department's bridge inspection unit to re-rate the bridge, we anticipate this posting will be decreased. However, I do not have the information as of right now. We are continuing with the new analysis based on one of those photos that Ramilda showed, which we indicated some new priority 1 issues that were discovered. The bridge requires an inspection every 6 months due to the priority 1 issues on the bridge. And the priority 1 issues are the bearings as well as the deteriorated steel members, which are considered non-redundant. I do want to say that there was another priority 1 item that had to be completed, and actually the Luzerne County Road and Bridge Department actually fixed an issue in the deck. So hats off to the Road and Bridge Department for getting that completed. And there's many fracture critical elements of concerns, fatigue concerns, and there's the ADT 6700. Next slide, please. As Ramilda said, the area in Newport Township is looking to be developed there next to Nanticoke. As such, we did some turning movement analysis at the intersection of State Route 11 and the end of the bridge. That would be the northern end of the bridge. And as you can see, trucks would go into opposing traffic to be able to make that turn. They probably do that now. But with the new bridge, that would not be good. So we have a right-hand turn lane proposed in the lower section. And that would be further analyzed in the design of the bridge to determine the length of how long that would have to be. There have been crashes on the bridge and the roadway approaches. They were some of the items, and there's currently a curve on the bridge. And I do have to say, in that lower left-hand side, right now, the clear width in between the guide rail is about 20 feet. And as we all know, or some of us may know, the normal width of a lane on we'll say a medium volume road like this is about 12 feet with a minimum of a 4-foot shoulder. So it's quite tight going across that bridge. Next slide, please. We evaluated 3 alternatives: rehabilitate the existing truss and the 21 approach spans. Item 2 was partial replacement, replacing the spans over the river, 3 truss spans over the river, maintain the approach substructure units, and replace the 21 approach spans with a new superstructure. And then alternate number 3 is relocation with entirely new bridge, new alignment with no curve in the bridge and new super and substructure units. Next slide, please. Alternates 1 and 2 remain on the currently same alignment. And alternative 3 is the lower one, and that is improves the intersection with Lower Broadway Street, as well as a new updated intersection with Route 11 and a new traffic signal in that new location. Next slide, please. Alternative 1 is there's a picture of the bridge, an elevation view, the 3 spans of the river, and then the 21 approach spans. Next slide. Alternative 2 would be new spans over the river with upgraded superstructure approach spans. If you look in the middle part there was a little longer span there. That was for hydraulic issues, and we had to take a few piers out to do that. Next slide, please. Then alternate number 3 is a relocation, new bridge, a new substructure, and new piers over the river, as well as the approach spans, and we will look to try to make all those spans as nearly identical. Next slide, please. The design considerations were structural design, utility impacts, right-of-way takes, wetlands, threatened and endangered species, historical and public use impacts, traffic and safety, environmental permitting, hydraulic impacts, cost comparisons, construction schedule, and community impacts. They were some of the items that we considered and put in our report. Next slide, please. And when all those items were analyzed, we came up with this slide and this cost comparison. Alternative 1 comes out to about 47.8 million. Alternative 2, about 40.5. And alternative 3, 53.6 million. Plus the cost to remove the existing structure after the new bridge is completed. Then we look down on the lower chart. If you look at that item called detour user cost, that's called road users liquidated damages. That item was determined to be 18.2 for 1 and 15.3 for 2 and 0 for 3, because we would try to utilize the existing bridge for the detour. And as I mentioned, the bridges, and Ramilda mentioned, the bridge is in bad shape, and every inspection every 6 months could either make the rating go down on the bridge or potentially close the bridge. There's the information on the detour duration. Assuming alternative 3, the bridge would remain open through design and construction. We're estimating design at about 2.5 to 3 years and construction about 3 years approximately. And that is the cost analysis. Next slide. Now we'll conclude our presentation.
I'm asking that the MPO to provide a vote to concur, that a motion be made, that the West Nanticoke Bridge be taken off the long-range transportation plan and put onto the 12-year plan TIP, with the understanding that PennDOT is committing $5 million in state funding to the project in 2029 and another $5 million in 2031 for structural work.
Ramilda, before we go there, could I provide some input there as well?
Please.
So my staff in the office has been looking out at our tips out in the outer years, and we've identified $5 million on the 29 tip and $5 million on the 2031 tip. We want to be able to support local bridges, county-owned bridges This is a massive bridge and a major undertaking for the area that we think needs to be addressed, and we'll work through the scopes and alternatives, and we'll do our normal thing there. But this was something that we think is critical to the area and that we fully support at PennDOT. The only thing I would question, and I think I heard Dominic, I want to make sure, he said that design may take 2 or 2.5 years. Did I hear that right, I guess, first of all, Dominic?
Yes, yes, Richard, until we do the complete preliminary design and obtain permits, we do anticipate 2 to 2.5 years, yes, 2, 3 years, all depending upon how permitting goes, as well as utilities and right-of-way acquisition.
So I guess what I'm saying is, and I'll respectfully question that, but the reason we put it out in 2029 and 2031 is based on our experiences with major river crossings. That's how long it's going to take to be in construction. So the money that we are putting, hopefully to put aside here as a group in 29 and 31 are construction dollars. Because to me, a 2,000-foot long bridge over the Susquehanna River, we don't know what the right-of-way is going to be, utilities, Corps of Engineers, threatened and endangered species, the whole list of things. I would just, 3 years is very aggressive. Now, if Dominic delivers it, great, and I'm wrong, I'd love to be wrong here, but so we picked 29 and 31 because we think that's when it's going to be in construction. So I think we should continue that vote, and in future MPO meetings and in future years, once we get underway, we might have to maybe move one of those up to 27 and 29, depending on how project delivery goes. But I think for right now, I'd be comfortable keeping it to 29 and 31. Be 5 million in both of those tip cycles. That'd be $10 million towards what the county has for the bridge. So I just wanted to make that to be clear.
Right, and I'm absolutely, I understand. I think maybe Dominic is more glasses half full.
Oh, I love it.
I'm not. I may feel sometimes that the glass is absolutely empty, but I understand, and I anticipate that the 29 and 2031 timescale is appropriate. I also want the members to know that we do have matching funding that would be available, readily available.
And the reason, if you don't mind, I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper, but the reason why the department is in favor of this, beyond all the pictures of the status and all that, Luzerne County has borrowed or bonded a substantial amount of money to put towards this. And in our conversation, we should, when a local entity brings money to the table, I think it's our job to buttress that and support it. So that's why we're doing that. Whatever that number is, that
about $54 million.
About 54 million. So that's a substantial piece of this. So it's not just blindly giving it to Luzerne County. It's saying, hey, that they're bringing big money to the table. The MPO in this case is really just supporting it to get it to the finish line. Whatever alternative is picked.
Correct.
Right. So I just wanted to have that out there. So, and I like Dominic's half empty or half full, whatever it is. And if he could deliver it in 3 years, that would be, we could all do a victory lap there. So I guess now we can go to the tech committee, and Dean, if you want to seek a motion for this.
Sure, Rich, just a couple questions for my end. So all the pre-construction phases are going to be locally funded. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
And
yeah, we actually,
there will be
that's the plan.
Okay, and construction, then most of that the county will commit, because if we put 10 million, and I imagine 10 million on that bridge is going to be federal funds for a bridge that long, to move it in to the program on construction, I'm going to have to, I got to list that other funding as local or something. And if you would be just making sure you're okay with that.
Yeah, what we're thinking, Dean, is once the county selects their alternative and begins if they're gonna decide on which consultant's gonna deliver it and how they're gonna deliver it, we're gonna sit down with them and make sure that they go through the federal process of the project development process, so that when we get to construction, and I'll turn it to Susan, it'll be some combination of federal, state, local.
Because the locals are doing this match, so they're beyond their local match anyway, so our 10 million is probably the 5%, right? So. Yeah, so Dean, that's how we would be looking to set this up with, if we have to show the preliminary final design phases 100% local, we could do it that way. And then show the construction with the 5 million with the local match in 29 and 5 million with the local match in 31.
Okay, because I can put that on the draft 25 TYP, right? So I just making sure that we do have the commitment for construction. Otherwise I can't, you know. So if you, if you, Sue, can send me an email how you want it, how you want me to show it. On the,
I know that what he's asking is that the local has that commitment for the match.
Luzerne County has a commitment for the match.
Yeah, so prior conversations, I did not know if we could reopen the draft tip to add this project because we're in the tip development process. But Dean, you think we can?
yeah, I talked to Casey on that today, Sue. I think that's better if we can get it in now rather than come back and have an amendment to add it in October. So
That's good. So you'll not only have the vote today, you'll also have the tip as we adopted this summer. That will also be showing the $10 million commitment.
Thank you.
So with that said, I'm thinking the motion was, I'm making a motion to move the West Nanticoke Bridge onto the fundable portion of a long range plan. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, actually, we have a draft tip, so we don't actually have anything to make an amendment to, right? Yes, for the long range plan, but I'm not sure if we're actually amending. Need to amend the long range plan.
Yes, we're making a motion to put it on the long range plan, correct?
Okay. A good question, Dean, because we don't want to go through a formal amendment to the long range plan. It's already on the long range plan unfundable category, I believe.
Gotcha.
So as we always have on our transportation improvement program is asset management line items for cases such as this, where there's a priority that's moving forward. And we'd like to utilize that on the draft tip. So we want to vote today that the committee concurs with reopening the draft tip, which is not actually formal, but concurring with 5 million of tip funds in 2029 on the 2025 draft tip and 5 million in 2031 on the draft 2025 tip. I think that's the vote we have to take, is that the committee concurs with the contribution from the MPO tip for the 2025 tip.
So Sue, can I do a motion make a motion for what Sue said?
Yes, you can, Dean.
Okay. Let me try to rephrase it. May I have a motion from the committee to understand that we are going to put this project on the draft program in 2029 and 2024. And when I say program, the TYP, because that's outside of the tip years.
Now, Dean, slight correction. On the draft tip, it's 5 million in 2029 and 5 million in 2031.
May I make a motion that we are going to put the West Nanticoke Bridge on the draft program, 5 million in 2029 and 5 million in 2031. This will be construction, in which case I will also show the local commitment.
This is Matt Jones. I second that motion.
First.
Oh, I thought he was making it.
He's asking for it.
I'm asking
This
for
is
that
me.
motion.
We'll make that motion. I will
Thank
ask, I will ask
Thank-
the MPO technical committee to vote to concur that the West Nanacoke Bridge be put on the draft tip, showing us, an MPO contribution of 5 million in 2029 and 5 million in 2031 for structure work with the local match contribution.
Thank you, Matt. Do I hear a second to that?
You're making the first, I'll make the second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Rich, to you, sir.
So I'll ask the coordinating committee to make a motion similar to what Matt Jones mentioned. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion, what Matt said.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Hey, Rich, I'll second that.
Okay, Dean, thank you. All opposed or all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Hey, Rich, thank you, Rich. One question though, to Dominic or Romilda, how much do you want me to show the local matches being?
We'll get with them after this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rich. I didn't mean to hold you up. We can work on that later.
I mean, again, the main thing now is for the county to know that there's a commitment. And then they could go about their process in the county on what the scope's gonna now be. And then once that's selected, then we'll re-engage and talk through the process. Rehab, replacement, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever your alternative. When you're at that point, then we'll get back together and talk through, here's what you need to do so you don't jeopardize federal money in the future. So you could get that 10 million commitment.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll take care of that later, Dean.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Rich. Moves us down to action item D, approval of the 2024 congestion management process. Mr. Funkhauser, thank you for being patient, sir. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Slide presentation to present the MPO's congestion management process. And just by way of background, this is part of one initiative that's part of a broader initiative that the MPO has termed the bundle of plans. The MPO has actively been involved in updating 5 of the plans that it maintains here in recent months. You'll recall back in January that you adopted the public participation plan, your Title VI plan, and limited English proficiency plan. There's 2 additional plans that are going to be looked at today, including the local coordinated plan and this one, which is the congestion management process, or the CMP. So the MPO's work in really maintaining and updating the CMP is really an important work activity for the MPO, as it helps the region to be better able to, adapt to changing transportation needs, and as well as technology changes as well. Just going to give an overview of some of the major elements of the congestion management process for the MPO, beginning with some of the requirements that we need to look at as part of maintaining the CMP. Really think that planning for congestion really emerged. It first emerged as a major planning activity back in the mid-90s, right after the passage of ICE-T. And ICE-T required the MPOs to develop a number of management systems, one of which was related to congestion. The requirements for planning for congestion or system operations has certainly changed. They have evolved over the years, but the requirements do include the ones that you see on the screen here. First and foremost, it is a requirement that areas similar to the Lackawanna-Luzerne region do planning. Just given your population is in excess of 200,000 as a transportation management area, you are federally required to maintain a congestion management process. And The process itself is also intended to provide up-to-date information on system performance. And with the CMP, it really gives the MPO a level of detail that you normally don't get into with other planning products such as your LRTP. And in addition to the congestion management process, another product that has been developed through this initiative has been a project web map, which breaks the region down into various roadway segments and offers a level of detail on system performance that really wasn't available on previous CMPs. And I'll give you a preview of that here a little bit later on. The other important point that I wanted to make here with this slide was the need for the CMP to be integrated into the planning process. And that's very important. We want the CMP to be able to inform the development of other planning products. The MPO, for example, is going to be updating, its long-range transportation plan beginning later this year. And so the CMP is going to be a very important input into things, not only, the LRTP, but also your work on broader plans such as your regional operations plans or the ROP. Some of the major components of the CMP are, as you see here, beginning with data collection and analysis. And with that, we're just looking at things like traffic volumes, travel times, and things like that to really help identify problem areas and trends. We're looking at specific roadway corridors or segments that are experiencing significant levels of congestion, as well as performing in-depth analyses of the roadways to better understand, what are the causes and impacts of congestion, such as traffic volumes or the region's demographics, land use patterns, and transportation infrastructure. So through all of that, it's very important for the MPO to be able to evaluate the effectiveness of congestion reduction strategies through ongoing monitoring and making adjustments as needed. And again, the CMP is also needed to inform other planning work that the MPO is involved in, again, including your LRTP, the regional operations plan, as well as your annual work program or your UPWP. It's something that can really help guide the activities of MPO staff. We updated the CMP with the help of a 19-member steering committee. They met twice over the course of the project, and it included a number of key representatives from PennDOT Central Office, people like Scott Benedict and Steve Galt, Pierce Sube, who's working on leading the regional operations plan for the region, and there were a number of others who participated from PennDOT District 4. And we also had representation from a number of the region's major municipalities who were represented on the steering committee. So we used them over the past several months as a sounding board. We used them to really help evaluate draft products that we developed as the process unfolded. And this group provided assistance to us on various topics in the planning process, including things like recommended performance measures, strategies for mitigating congestion, and their impact on the roadway network. So bottom line, the CMP was updated not necessarily by MPO staff, although they were a part of it, but I just wanted to say that this is not something that was developed in a vacuum, but it was through a very collaborative process with representation from different stakeholders at the state, regional, and local level. The MPO's previous CMP was last updated back in 2015, and it's really an exciting time to be involved in transportation planning when you think about all of the new data sources and the new tools that are available to us as planners to really help collect data and do the analysis. Just all the changes that have taken place there over the past couple of years. And so there's a lot of new data that's available to us, and it's become an important resource for future CMP updates and for monitoring the impacts of completed projects. And so the CMP really helps to integrate all of the new information that we have available to us, and it highlights the various tool sets and procedures for extracting and processing the data. One of the mapping products, I mentioned this earlier, has combined information from a variety of sources to assist the MPO in congestion location identification, as well as the evaluation of the causes of congestion. I'll just throw this on the screen here real quick. This is a copy of our project web map, which includes a lot of information on various data sets that are available for planners to look at congested locations and congested corridors throughout the region. So this is going to be a tremendous resource going forward for the MPO planning staff, and as well as others, at the district and at the municipal level as well, to get a better handle on congestion, the magnitude and the extent of congestion across the region. So some of the different fields here include INRIX data. Again, we talk about new data. INRIX is a fairly new data set that we have available to us now to look at the reliability of the system. Other fields that are available here include public comments that came in through the STC biennial program update process. The MPO administered its own public survey as part of this. So there were hundreds and hundreds of people across the region who had an opportunity to weigh in and provide input on identifying problems and concerns that they have with regard to system performance. So again, this is going to be a very important tool for MPO staff going forward. I mentioned the public survey. We were administered a survey to ask the public to respond to system operations. A number of questions that were posed in the survey, one of which was looking for the top ways of alleviating congestion in the region. Some of the top responses that came back to us were, improving intersections, improving signal coordination, and constructing dedicated turn lanes were among some of the top options there. And one of the good things about planning for system operations is that many times you can get a lot of bang for your buck for not a whole lot of money compared to larger capital projects that we see on the TIP and on the LRTP. You can get a lot of value for your dollar in investing in system operations. There was an interactive map that was also included as part of the public survey, and people were able to drop a pin, drill down to an intersection level of detail, and provide more detailed information regarding concerns that they had with regard to congestion or system operational issues throughout the region. The CMP also looks at determining priorities for addressing congestion and addressing system operations. And a key objective of the CMP is to identify, what are the priority congested corridors or the priority congested locations that the MPO needs to be paying attention to. So the CMP locations that are included within the report really encompass key roadway corridors and spot intersections that really hold the highest priority for future assessment. So this figure just shows the overall process that was used to identify the priority locations for this CMP update. Based on this process, the CMP identified 45 different locations comprised of either sections of roadway or spot intersections. And those are highlighted here on this slide, listing of 45 priority corridors. And I will just note that these corridors or these locations are not prioritized within the listing, but the reference numbers are just so the user can crosswalk, the locations with the maps that are included within the report. And just to wrap this up, This slide just shows how the overall CMP is organized. And within the overall transportation planning process, the CMP is really provides quantitative congestion information that can be used by, not only the MPO planning staff, but also, decision makers on the MPO board, local government, as well as within PennDOT. So I'll just conclude by reminding everyone that the CMP is again an important element of the MPO's work program. It's something it's objectives driven, it's performance based, and the data that is going to flow out of this is something that can be used and integrated into TIP development as well as the LRTP as an important part of project decision making. And I'll just speak for the MPO staff real quick here when I say that the MPO is always looking for ways of making the CMP better. And this includes learning from what other MPOs have done across the nation and using new data sources as they become more readily available. So as before, future CMP updates are going to be coordinated with PennDOT's regional operations plan and ongoing efforts to develop better data for assessing congestion causes and local and regional efforts that are related to corridor visioning and strategy assessments. So one of the requirements of the CMP is that it be updated every 4 years to support coordination with the TIP and the LRTP. And so the MPO is going to continue using this process as a planning tool for these kinds of evaluations. And Matt Jones, you'll notice we updated the color scheme of the document so it's more distinct from the other plans that have been developed as part of the bundle of plans.
Thank you, Brian. Now we can tell them all apart. I have, so we've been working on these plans. I'll speak on behalf of the committee with the staff. We've been working on these plans in a madcap fashion for the last several months. And this past month in particular was us trying to reconcile all of the input that we had received and trying to put this together with Michael Baker Consultants into a buttoned up plan that it's more user friendly, that someone can pick up and take and run with. And they've done a terrific job. We've actually been making sort of massaging changes to it even in the last week. And I have a few more I'd like to propose, Brian, while we look to take a vote to adopt it, maybe as a condition of approval. Just to highlight again, part of what Brian said, we put out 2 or 3 news stories on this. We received over 600 responses about traffic congestion from the greater public, and those translated into over 1,000 spots on the map where folks had identified for us where they feel they're experiencing traffic in our 2 counties. And so that fed into the hopper for us to identify what were the top several dozen spots that we needed to be focused on. I have a brief amendment to propose to amend the congestion report as a condition of approval, but I would open it up to the committee and ask if folks have any questions before we move toward that. Okay, I don't see any. So, Brian, we're recording this webinar and we can share this information with you, but I was going to put to the committee on behalf of the technical committee that a motion be made to approve and adopt and publish this plan, the congestion management process. I see on page 42, you added language about how better signalization is coming to Memorial Highway in the back mountain, that PennDOT and Kingston Township are working to fix that problem, and traffic will see better signaling in August of 2024. So I thank you guys for adding that information to the plan on page 42. I just have 2 more edits to propose. The first is that the summary map on page 21 and the data layers map on page 22 include written URLs, actual texts of the hyperlinks where the casual reader who's reading this by hard copy could find those databases by link on their computer. And I understand that Michael Baker will host those files for us for a period of time. And I'm also asking that we add in text on those pages the phone numbers for the county planning departments, where after the handoff occurs between Michael Baker and the counties, that then folks can call our county office to obtain these databases once the county begins to host these files. That way, if someone's reading the hard copy version of this report, they can actually get at those databases. If they read it online, they can, of course, hyperlink to those sites, but then this will allow the casual reader looking at a hard copy to go on their computer and find this data afterwards. And my second amendment is that either on page 35 or 41, somewhere in the back end of the report, just add a mention that Luzerne County is working with PennDOT to better sign and signalize for the Fort Jenkins Bridge in Pittston, as the Water Street Bridge will be going offline. There's already efforts underway to better coordinate traffic currently, and the county is working with PennDOT to explore that. And so I wanted to add mention of that into the report. And so with those two edits, I would ask that the technical committee consider my motion to approve the approval and publication of these documents on condition that those edits be made. Unless anyone has any other edit suggestions, I would ask us to approve and publish the document to that effect. If I could get a second and concurrence.
Okay, Matt, I will make a motion that we approve the congestion management process with the edits you mentioned.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
Yep. Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second it. Susan.
Susan, thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Rich, I throw it to you, sir.
Sure. Seeking a motion from the coordinating committee to approve the 2024 congestion management process plan. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. Tom Riley.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thanks, Rich. That brings us down to item E, approval of the 2024 Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Plan. And Emily, I think this goes to you.
Yes, thank you. As Brian, my colleague mentioned, the coordinated plan is plan number 4 out of 5 in the bundle of plans. If I can share my screen. Can everyone see that okay? This is
yes.
The plan as it's currently hosted online. So for a little bit of background, because public transportation is such an important part of connecting people with employment, medical appointments, food access, and government services, the Federal Transit Administration requires that MPOs study regional transit options for vulnerable populations and for those receiving human services. So in compliance of that, LLTS worked with us at Michael Baker to develop this coordinated public transit human services transportation plan to help study and also improve transportation access for groups such as seniors, persons with disabilities, veterans, and other human services recipients in the Lackawanna-Luzerne region. So this plan meets a federal requirement for the MPO, but I will also say that this document helps transit agencies to remain eligible for federal funding under Section 5310. So it's helpful for both of those things. So to sort of walk you through the document just a little bit very quickly. The project team, including a technical advisory committee spearheaded by Mary Liz Donato and Matt Jones, researched existing conditions, including demographic conditions, as well as existing transit conditions in the Bi-County area. So there was research on that, as well as as well as engagement with stakeholders. The project team met with and solicited feedback from almost 70 stakeholders in the community about what transportation barriers they'd seen impacting folks' access to county human services. And some of that was live stakeholder interviews with members of representatives from transit agencies like HPT, LCTA, COLTS, or human services providers like county children and youth services, veterans services providers, medical providers. So some of that was in person, or some of that was live, and some of that was for folks who couldn't attend those live interviews. We also created a survey that that other stakeholders from those organizations could provide their feedback that way. And through that process, we identified some high-level transit needs and service gaps, and so that we could provide recommendations to help address those barriers. So some of those high-level gaps that we were hearing from stakeholders in the community were the difficulties of, since the two-county region can be a far trip from one end of one county to the other end of another county. We heard that cross-county trips could be a little bit difficult, that they just take a long time, or it's hard to find, an affordable taxi or something like that if you don't own a car. We also heard that travel times could be difficult if you're, say, in a rural area of Luzerne County and you need to get yourself to Scranton. Then the travel times can be long, and that can be difficult for some folks. So we heard sort of high-level barriers that people were seeing, and put those into the report. And then from those, we worked with the technical advisory committee to develop some implementation strategies that can be used to help address some of those high-level challenges impacting folks getting transit access or other transportation access to county level human services. So our implementation strategies are directed at different groups, because this isn't no one individual or no one organization is going to be able to solve all of these challenges. So we've split up the strategies for things that the MPO could be pursuing, things that county government agencies could be pursuing, as well as what the public transportation agencies can be pursuing to help alleviate some of these issues. So that's the report in a nutshell. There's about 17 pages of content plus appendices, and those appendices include notes and contacts from the stakeholders that we spoke to in December. So does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Emily, it's Dean Roberts. I got one question. And anywhere in your research, have you ever found that these coordinated public transit human services plans, are they mandated to be updated on a periodical basis? I couldn't find that anywhere.
They are mandated.
They're mandated to have them. I don't know if they're
Yes.
mandated to be. I was just curious. I've asked that even of FTA, and I've gotten like wishy-washy answers. So I was just curious if you found anything out.
I've not found a specific number of years that it needs to be updated. I think the MPO's last coordinated plan was from 2008.
Okay.
And so I think this is an update to that. As far as I know the 5310 funding eligibility is something that often comes up, and having a more recent coordinated plan helps with that, to be able to say like, no, we have, the MPO has its coordinated plan. It's all in there. It's all documented very recently. These are our updated 5310 human service transportation providers. So in theory, if you had added or subtracted any human services providers who were potentially eligible for 5310, you would want them to be in this updated plan.
Hey, thanks. I know a lot of MPOs try to do it when they update their long range plans. Resources dictate that though. But thanks. I thought that was pretty good. With that, do I hear a motion from the technical committee meeting to approve the 2024 update of the coordinated public transit human services plan?
I'll make a
Dean, I'll make
motion. This
that.
is Kathy.
Kathy, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second, this is Matt, and I want to say that the consultants did a really great job on this. And Dean, to your question, we had an old transit bus and coordinated human services plan, and we would periodically get calls from either PennDOT or Federal Transit or a stakeholder group, and they would say, you know, we have a project idea for 5310 grant funding. Can we prove that you were in your coordinated plan? And the old plan might not have listed them. And so we'd have to do these sort of amendments by letter to refer to them and add them in that manner. So we wanted to get a more comprehensive coordinated plan by publishing a new one that includes all of these stakeholders listed. So with that, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. And with that stated, do I hear all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Rich, sir, over to you, sir.
Seeking a motion to approve the 2024 Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Plan.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, back to you, Dean.
Okay, thank you. That takes us down to item F, tip reaffirmation of the MPMS 121-375, the SR 309 high friction surface. Rich, I believe you got to reaffirm it. There's no action to be taken by the technical committee here. It was a project that was voted on, I believe, e-STIP, e-memo, which was approved.
Hello. There a motion from the coordinating committee to approve the reaffirmation of the MPMS 121-375.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Reaffirmed.
Thanks, Rich. Brings us down to 3 on the agenda, discussion items, fall project commencement. Mr. Manzarella and Mr. Middleton, over to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Dean. I'll start with Lackawanna. So sorry, we had a little bit of a typo there on the agenda. It's the spring commencement, not the fall, but sorry, we'll work through it. The first project we're gonna get started with in Lackawanna County. It was actually let in March, but was held back until this meeting due to permitting concerns. This is project 106314. This is a bridge replacement on State Route 7302, Elm Street over the Lackawanna River in Scranton. The average annual daily travel is 6,223, and this was let on the 14th of March this year.
Just to clarify, that's a local bridge. That's when you say 7,000 number, that's a local bridge. Not a state.
Okay.
One of the city of Scranton bridge.
Next is project 120931. This is the demolition of 2 homes related to the North Main Ave Bridge project in Scranton. The average annual daily travel is 7,996, and this project will let on the 11th of this month. Next is project 115883. This is the replacement of a retaining wall on State Route 3011 Kaiser Ave between State Route 3014 Dalton Street and Frink Street in Scranton. The average annual daily travel is 15,437, and this will let on the 11th as well. Next is project 8191. This is a bridge replacement on State Route 435, the Drinker Turnpike over Lackawanna County Railroad Authority in Elmhurst Township. The average annual daily travel is 6,659, and this project will let on June 13th. Next is project 109778. This is a bridge replacement on State Route 435, the Drinker Turnpike again over Roaring Brook in Elmhurst. The average annual daily travel is 6,659, and this project will let on the 13th as well. Lastly, for Lackawanna County is project 94567. This is a safety improvement project on State Route 348 from State Route 2002 Wimmers Road to State Route 2003 Cortez Road in Jefferson Township. The average annual daily travel is 10,821, and this project will also let on June 13th. I'll kick it over to Rob.
Okay, thank you. For Luzerne County, we have MPMS number 119235. This is SR 309 Luzerne County resurfacing in Hanover and Fairview Township. The average daily travel was 18,684. This will be a resurfacing on State Route 309 on Mountain Boulevard between the intersection with Woodlawn Road and approximately the intersection of State Route 2034, which is Pine Run Road. And that will be led on 418. Next, we have MPMS number 121375. This is in the same area. It's SR 309, high friction surface treatment in Hanover Township. The average daily traffic is 18,684. This is a high friction surface treatment on SR 309 Mountain Boulevard between State Route 234, Pine Road, and Township Line. This will be let on 418. Next, we have MPMS number 9128. This is in the area of SR 115 over I-81. This is in Plains and Wilkes-Barre Township. The average daily traffic is 20,315. We'll be providing a new connection to Interstate 81 southbound from SR 115 northbound. Replacement of bridges carrying 115 over Interstate 81 in Plains Township, and this will be let on May 23rd. Next, we have MPMS 67443. The I-81 Durance Bridges, Lawrence Township. Average daily traffic is 38,049. These will be bridge replacements on Interstate 81 northbound and southbound over State Route 3007 and exit 155, and also northbound over SR 3010 and northbound over Big Wapalvin Creek, and also an extension of the box culvert carrying Interstate 81 northbound over the tributary of Wapalvin Creek. And this will be let on June 13th. Any questions, or turn it back over to you, Dean?
Hey, thanks, guys.
Let me
Sorry.
just say, Dean, real quick. That's okay. Recently, Susan Hazelton sent us an image of what this 115 over, basically 115, State Route 115 going northbound, its new connection with Interstate 81 southbound. She shared with us an image that shows you exactly how that sort of access is going to wriggle around that interchange. It's really neat how they're going to do that. And we have that image posted on the Luzerne County Planning and Zoning website. If people want to see exactly how they're going to do that, it kind of loops around funny, but it gets the job done. So it's hard to imagine, but they're doing it. So we have that image on our website if people want to see exactly what that looks like. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I'll go take a look at it. Brings us down to item B, the Scranton to New York City on Amtrak's corridor identification and development program. Larry, I believe you're out there still.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you, sir.
Good. How are you doing, Dean?
Good.
Be happy to give a little synopsis of where we stand. Happy to report that our application to the federal US DLT was accepted. Over 100 applications were submitted throughout the United States for the new passenger rail corridor money, which is all part of the bipartisan infrastructure funding, which was passed last year. $66 billion in that program is provided for new Amtrak corridors around the country. So we were one of the successful applicants. With that, as a good history, it's important to know that one of the reasons I believe we were to do a study on our corridor well before the application period. which Amtrak came out with numbers fairly favorable to our corridor. That was a part and parcel of it. But the other factor, I believe, was the team that we put together. The actual application was filed to the US DOT by PennDOT out of Harrisburg via the Bureau of Multimodal. The Deputy Secretary, Michiko, was very instrumental in doing that. PNRA, our entity, and New Jersey Transit. So the three actual owners of the corridor were the submitting parties. And one of the factors in, we believe, the decision to pick our corridor, a team that was put together. With that in mind, we have already been in contact with US DOT. We're working with their representatives on our corridor. With the help of Senator Casey and Congress Cartwright, we've already been designated funding through congressionally designated funding accounts, which is a fancy way of saying earmarks. I'm not supposed to use that word, so I won't. But we've already got federal funding in the pipeline for some actual construction on the corridor. So we think we're in good stead. We've got a long way to go. Amtrak estimates, if everything goes according to the schedule they put forth, first trains could be running by 2028. In Pennsylvania, we've got three stations: Scranton, Mount Pocono, and East Stroudsburg. In New Jersey, there's 3 or 4 stops, including Morristown, Newark, things of that nature. And the corridor does stretch right into the heart of Manhattan, Penn Station, Moynihan Station of Amtrak. Amtrak actually owns the last 7 miles of this corridor. So that's kind of integral to the entire corridor too. Very quick synopsis. What Amtrak is proposing is 3 trains each way a day, 7 days a week, 365. And a running time of Scranton to Penn Station, 2 hours and 50 minutes with those stops. Amtrak estimates by year 3, 473,000 riders are likely to ride this corridor. Amtrak has done this type of corridor analysis across the country based on their 50 years of experience doing corridors. You know, we're taking their word for what it's worth, but it's based on 50 years of research of the corridors that they've implemented and are running. So we believe those are very good numbers, possibly even conservative. So I'd be happy to report back to this MPO and this committee on a regular basis with this. There may be some interaction with this MPO as we go down the road. The types of funding that are coming out of the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, which is the arm of the US DOT that's handling this funding, is being formulated as we get into the bigger points of this project, which is the actual construction. Again, look forward to reporting back to this committee and for this and for the MPO support of this project. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Larry, some of that federal money that was recently made available, was it in the news that that's going towards rebuilding several miles of the track that had languished? Is that correct?
Yes, actually, the two federally directed funding line items that are in effect and in fact are going after as we speak in terms of getting it under contract. One is for a bridge reconstruction in Slateford, PA, which has to be done before you get actual label track. And the second one is for 43,000 new cross ties in our portion of the railroad, our portion of Pennsylvania Northeast Regional Railroad Authority's portion between the Delaware Water Gap and Scranton. And those ties will allow our railroad to be brought up to the standard that Amtrak wants, which is 80 miles an hour on our section. So those two actual funding sources are very closely to being under contract.
Hey, thanks, Larry. We will take you up on that, having you come back.
I will take you up on it. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's no more questions. That'll take us down to item C, the Fall Planning Partners meeting. Has my name there. I think I was just mentioned real quickly, I think at our last bi-monthly planning partner call, they're looking for the 2.5-day event again. This time it'll be in late September. They're trying to avoid conflicts with other planning meetings. Probably going to be the Penn Stater again. So just to keep you posted. Brings you back down to item D, Gordon Avenue. Mary Liz?
Yes, as we're updating our tip, we are looking at the K-Route discretionary funds. I believe it's 500,000 in 4 categories. We met with our county engineer and our roads bridge. We discussed a 5-year plan for the county. We looked at the K-Route main Ave, which actually goes from the Scranton city line up to Pike Street intersection in Carbondale. The section we're looking at is named Gordon Avenue. It's actually part of that main Ave corridor in Carbondale Township and Carbondale City. And I have Frank Suma here from our county engineers to give just a brief presentation on that.
Yes, thanks, Mary Liz. What we have here is a brief summary of a couple items that I'd like to bring up. And as I kind of go through this verbally, would you mind flipping next just to the map? Show where the exact location we're talking. Just go to scroll down to the give you an overall map view. Page down. Okay. Let's start with the map. Show everybody where we're talking.
Sorry, there's just a little bit of lag.
Right.
We have the map up.
So, it's tough to see if you just slightly longer to see the actual. So, as Mary Liz mentioned, we're talking about Gordon Avenue. It is K 194 K route owned by Lackawanna County in the Carbondale Township and Carbondale City. It's a collector road through a suburban corridor along mostly residential and commercial properties, and the total length is about 1.3 miles. There's 1 lane in each direction with the total width actually varies, so a little less than average of 24 feet in width, but there are some tight areas that only measure about 18 feet in width. There's some wider areas that are up to 30 feet in width. The posted speed limit in that area is 25 miles an hour. And the ADT is less than in approximately $1,000 vehicles per day. The existing pave shows pretty much widespread deterioration, including several locations of alligator cracking, rutting, and some signs of base failure. So I'd like to just briefly go through some photos highlighting your typical condition today. Would you mind just going back up a little bit to these photos? So we have photos from this past week. They're current photos showing the existing conditions, starting at the very south limits. So right here, we're at the south end, facing west, actually, to a railroad bridge. This, see there. So the paving will actually continue under that road. The start work is the intersection beyond that railroad bridge we're looking at in that photo. So the work will require some coordination with Larry and Northeast Regional Railroad Authority. If you continue the photos, let's see all the photos kind of progress facing north. We have them at every 2/10 of a mile. So right here, we're north, you can see some existing rutting and along the wheel lines and from the lane. See more cracking, looks like pit spaced alligator cracking closer to the shoulder, likely some base failure. Additional longitudinal and transverse cracks. Here you can kind of see a full width cave joint, and not sure what happened between these 2 pave limits here, but north of this pave joint we're looking at is pretty significant cracking throughout all of the unit following and even moving across the sun line into where an existing utility, previous utility pave cut. We're approaching near the north end. You can see, that's okay. More cracking, throughout on the center lines. And our last photo here is we're pretty much near the project, post-project north end, where, Gordon Avenue would tie into Pike Street. So I'll talk about what the county is proposing for the proposed project. So the county would like to do full width resurfacing for the entire length of Gordon Avenue, from the railroad underpass at Erie Street to the Pike Street intersection. That would include resurfacing for the entire footprint of Gordon Avenue, plus some isolated base repair, possibly full segments of full width replacement if needed. Completion of the surfacing, they would want to restripe the center line and shoulders, and any impacted sidewalks, where would be updated ADA curb ramps. We'd like to also take care of as part of that project. There's 6 locations of that. So you could continue. The last page is a very high level process estimate. So as far as the K-Route funding request and the TIP update the county is requesting, they're seeking approximately $1 million in K-Route funding for this upcoming TIP update. That would, some of the specifics of what that would require would be specifically approximately 18,000 square yards of resurfacing for that 1.3 miles of linear way. We made some assumptions because there's no design done today. These are just some high level assumptions, but we assume approximately 10% of full depth pavement replacement for various lengths, and possibly up to 20% of isolated base repairs throughout that corridor. And as mentioned, the numbers would also cover center line striping and shoulder striping, as well as 6 ADA curb applications. Plus ancillary related activities like the traffic control and ENS measures as needed. And if you don't mind, would you look back to that initial summary? The very first page. So, and also I just want to be clear that the county is looking to undertake on their own as well, and Mary, let's feel free to chime in. So it's my understanding that the county would be looking to self-perform advanced drainage improvements before an ECMS resurfacing project. The county would also be taking care of the design, a small paid-for program, and any of the railroad coordination or utility coordination in advance of being proposed TIP-funded ECMS resurfacing project. Let's scroll down a little bit. We'll anticipated schedule. There. So county's hoping to have the survey completed and some paid-for sampling done and the stormwater design done throughout the rest of this calendar year. County would self-performing the drainage improvements next year with any coordinated utility upgrades happening before the proposed resurfacing, with the intent of having ECMS search plans bid in, approximately the end of 25, so the resurfacing project would be done in 2026. So, Mary Liz, anything on your end to add to that?
Sue, do you have anything to? Sue, do you have anything to add about this project or anything?
No, we did review it with the staff, Mary Liz and all. This is again, it's a standard line item off the tip. So coming up with your 5-year plan, and this was one of the roads off that 5-year plan to draw down those funds. And again, remember that 2025, you're going to start with your 500. If you want to bid this earlier in 2025, that's if you're favorable on it, it's an opportunity because you have those funds available.
If the county gets through that stormwater project and there's really no utility upgrades needed and they're ready, if I understand right, the money would be available that earlier year if possible. Yes. Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm aware of a
Planned water line upgrade.
Okay.
From Erie to Lower Powderly, so it's like from your southerly limits. Up to the more south north.
Going back.
Going southerly limits, Erie and north.
Okay.
North to Lower Powderly.
Okay. That's good to know, Tom. Thank you. You said Pennsylvania American, right? Yeah, water line. Yeah, American. Yeah.
So would this be utilizing 500,000 in K-Route money in 25 and then another 500,000 in 26? Is that how this would work? Or how does this get programmed?
So technically it's program, we're gonna tip. Alright,
Yeah.
so once a project is defined, then we created MPMS and draw out those funds or tip action. So it, in the expenditure, the timeline of it, it all depends on what the let date is. If we let it in the 2025 fiscal year, your federal fiscal year, you'll utilize the 2025 allocation. If it requires more than just that 2025 year, we'll split it over 2 years.
Do you have a sense, Tom, on the schedule for that water line or any proposal? Does that may throw a wrench in the works, right?
Well, it's associated with a development project that is not 100% certain.
So that's something to be worked through. So
Hate to pave it and have them rip it back up.
Right.
Which is, Susan said a lot more, which will delay this job. So just keep that in mind for the timing of it, but.
So there's no actual request right now, correct?
I don't think so, Dean. This is,
Okay.
it's your, the local federal aid line items. So it's just defining the project that the county wants to move forward with.
Okay, great. Are there any more questions on Gordon Avenue? Not hearing any. I'll go down to item E, Carbondale, 7th Avenue, Spring Street over Racket Brook Bridge repairs. Mary Liz, I got you again, my friend.
Again, and staying in the city of Carbondale, a few years back, I believe we received a letter from the city regarding some structural issues with their 7th Avenue Bridge and the Spring Street Bridge over Rack Creek. They're looking for some funding. I know this is not in our long range plan. We are going to update the plan. I asked Michelle to come down and just reaffirm what's going on there, and hopefully we can consider it long range plan.
Sure. And again, I apologize. I'm new to all this. So, but we've identified the 2 bridges, Spring Street Bridge and the 7th Avenue Bridge, which are both locally owned bridges. Both are coming up as a one on our past several bridge reports. Doing them here, so it's easier. But so anyway, we've tried to take the ball into our own hands and run down the court with it. So we've applied for funding. We spoke to Fetterman's office and they suggested that we submit a bridge bundle. So we went into some transportation money for the infrastructure, and we're asking Fetterman's office, Cartwright's office, and Casey's office. It's a $1.5 million ask for both bridges. The one bridge has a 3-ton limit on it. We can't get a garbage truck over it. We can't get a fire truck over it. So and then the roadway coming down to the street that it connects with is almost impassable. So that's the dire need, the Spring Street Bridge. The other one is the 7th Avenue Bridge, which if you're familiar with Carbondale, is right next to the Dunkin' Donuts. It's access to the west side. It's access for people to get to school. It's access to the shopping center. That was a bridge that was built in the 80s. Our engineer tells us it's back when PennDOT was doing a certain design that's starting to fail at this point in time. So right now we're just duct taping it together with fixes whenever we get a call from PennDOT to get it up to compliance and trying to be fully compatible with PennDOT standards. But the bridge is going to be, both bridges are going to be need replacing. When we submitted our ask to 3 gentlemen, their requirement is that we're on the tip. And I don't know what that looks like or how we get ourselves there. I did reach out to Kyle Mullins' office asking, how do we get on that? And I spoke to Mary Liz, and she suggested that we come today. So happy
The
to
first start is the long-range plan, correct? So and we're going to be doing that, so we need to discuss this as we update that plan.
Okay, and do you need anything from the city of Carbondale?
Not at this point, I don't believe. Once we get into the nitty-gritty of the plan.
Okay.
In the meantime, if you have access to any engineering expertise and we're able to come up with cost estimates of what it might involve, that can be helpful information for later when it might be considered for addition to the 25-year plan. The long-range plan is going to be a plan that would program items from 2026 to 2050. And we're looking to publish that plan. We're going to talk about that next. We're looking to publish that plan around February of 2026. So we'll be in those discussions and we can be thinking about maybe adding it to that plan in that process.
We did submit the grant for funding on the project. They're telling us we need to be on the tip, and I don't know how that translates out.
My understanding is that the project already needs to be on the tip in order to be considered by the congressional offices. Have you looked at multimodal at all?
Yeah.
Because we've actually seen, so I'm with the NEPA MPOs, we cover other counties. We've seen some of our county and local bridges get funded through either DCD or PennDOT multimodal. DCD multimodal is open right now. It's open through the end of July. It does require a 30% match, but the plus side of that is that it's state funding, not federal funding. So the project can end up costing less than it would if you went through the congressional offices. Okay. And the PennDOT money usually open. So I would recommend taking a look at those. The state money is a little bit.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you. Takes us down to item F, Lackawanna County Economic Development Study for Montage Mountain. I have Sandy, Kristen, and James on the agenda.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kristen Magnata. And so for this study, actually this will be on the Lackawanna County Commissioner's agenda for next week, their public meeting for approval. It's a study of Montage Mountain using the consultant, eConsult Solutions Inc. The purpose of the benefit of this study is to look at Montage Mountain from the exit all the way to the top to see what is currently present, to examine what possibilities may be discovered and how those possibilities may be accomplished in the future. We will engage with local stakeholders, including businesses, residents in the immediate area, the Chamber of Commerce, developers, the public, and local government. The benefit is to involve as many parties as possible to come up with ideas for future funding opportunities, infrastructure needs, options for alternative routes, which we know has been sort of our hang up on Montage Mountain for a long time, and additional transportation needs. We expect that this study will take somewhere in the range of a year, hopefully less than that. But again, it's really, and I should back up and say, two of the major parts of this study that are very important for any further development or investment would be looking at the cost and ability to bring utility all the way to the top of the mountain, as well as a potential second option for ingress and egress, as we know, can be difficult on both a night with a game and a concert or activities at Montage Mountain's site. So we are currently working, obviously, with some folks on the mountain, including a private developer, to look at possibilities for just creative ideas for alternative exits off the top of the mountain. But this, we're expecting that this report, will give us, I should say, a high priority consultants, will, give us and provide us both cost estimates that are needed and necessary for infrastructure, based on future and present development, best practices for transportation options and mountain access, inventory of current vacant or underused buildings and developable land, and both short-term and long-term goals and objectives for the mountain. So we know we are long overdue on this, and we have this plan in place again, hopefully to be completed between 8 months to a year, and then we'll see what comes out of that. And it should be helpful not only to us, the Chamber of Commerce, private developers on the mountain, moving forward. Those are any questions.
Sandy, if you're still on the call, do you have anything to add?
James is on as well.
James, did you have anything to say?
No, I think Kristen handled that perfectly well.
Thank you. So you're not looking for any request right now, right? Or you,
No requests. That's
No, I think
it
there was
sounds
some,
like that's good news.
Yeah.
Every time you say there's no requests.
there was some confusion. Somebody had approached PennDOT or something about doing a feasibility study. We're doing this. I don't know if they were aware of that, so we just want everybody aware that we're doing this study.
Yes.
Through the Appalachian Region Commission.
Yes.
Yes.
Kristen, I apologize if you already mentioned this, but did you say when there's maybe a target date for the finishing of the study and the release?
Yeah, probably about a year, just to give us a cushion. We're hoping in more than the 18-month period, but likely a year. And actually, one thing that is, interesting is that by a complete chance, we happen to choose the exact same consultant that does work with a private developer on the mountain, who they have used just recently to do some, some studies and updates, which I find that they already have some insight into what the challenges are and what our needs would be. So it happened to be by circumstance, just by chance that we ended up choosing the same consultant. So I think that will be great.
hey, thank you. Any more questions? No, I think that moves us down to G, the Pittston Township Park and Ride Transfer Station proposal. I think it's my friend Kathy's on the dock.
Thanks, Dean. So last month, LCTA visited the PennDOT Park and Ride located at Route 315 and Oak Street in Pittston Township. And we were there along with PennDOT district reps, Emma Pugh and John Petrini. LCTA has an interest in looking at the park and ride and the adjoining open parcel of land for siting a shared use by transit with a transfer facility. The park and ride location works well to bridge the northbound end of LCTA's system. So it can provide a key connection point with Colts and has some benefits for cross-county passengers and commuters and possibly, reduction of congestion in that corridor up there. So it's also handy to major medical facilities with Geisinger nearby. So the potential for a transfer center project is something the LCTA just would like to continue to coordinate with District 4 and the Bureau of Public Transit on as far as next steps for site review and funding, since it is PennDOT property. So just wanted to fill in the committee on that.
Thanks, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy? Hearing none takes us down to H, to the LCTA Transit Development Plan public comment period. Kathy, I believe that's you again.
Yeah, so the transit development plan, which is a PennDOT sponsored plan. We're working with, Kimley Horn, and that plan is nearing completion. So, the TDP is going to result in some great improvements to our service, just the legibility and, more efficient routing, along with the introduction of microtransit. So, just a heads up that LCTA will be starting public comment for the TDP later this month. And, I'll make sure to reach out to our planning partners to give that public comment period some more visibility. Right now, LCTA drivers are reviewing the plan and everything's going well with that. So that's it for now.
Thanks, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy? Takes us down to item J, funding and grant opportunities. Mr. Shaw.
Thanks, Dean. Just going to quickly run through some of the funding and grant opportunities that have opened up. The first one I have is the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. This is a new competitive grant program created by IIJA. This funding round has $45 million for the planning, design, construction of active transportation networks and active transportation spines. All municipalities and MPOs and tribal governments are eligible. Planning and design grants must have at least cost of $100,000 to be eligible. For construction grants, eligible costs have to be at least $15 million. And that application round is going to close June 17th. The next one I have is Safe Streets and Roads for All. This is entering its third year funding cycle. There's still $3 billion left for all future funding rounds. It's going to run through 2026. Lackawanna and Luzerne have been awarded planning grants in the past. Local governments, municipalities, MPOs, and tribes are eligible. This one has two closing dates left in it. The first one passed, which was April 4th, but May 16th is the next round for construction and planning. And then August 29th is a third deadline for just planning grants. The last one I have is the Automated Red Light Enforcement Program. This is a PennDOT program that opens yearly to municipalities and planning organizations. The total grant funding this year is approximately $14 million. ARLE funding is a reimbursement grant program. There's no match requirement and no minimum or maximum grant request. This funds projects that involve roadway safety, mobility, and capacity upgrades, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, traffic signal improvements, and that's going to close on June 30th. Does anyone have any questions? I'll give it back to you, Dean.
Thanks, Jonathan. Don't cut your hair again, though, buddy. Let it grow. That takes us down to item J, Safe Streets and Roads for All. Awards, Mary Liz.
Yeah, I'd like to report that we put out an RFP for the SS4A action plan. We received 4 proposals back. We have a review committee formed, and we are going to be interviewing these 4 firms next Tuesday. County office. Jonathan, I don't know what got over yours.
Luzerne County is still working with the FHWA PA Division Office to finalize our grant agreement.
Hey, thank you both. Any questions? Hearing none, it goes to item K, Long Range Transportation Plan. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, just very quickly, again, I'll mention the highlights of our effort to revamp the Long Range Transportation Plan. We are looking to approve and publish a new 25-year program plan for the years 2026 to 2050. We're aiming to publish that as required by federal law by February 2026. This will be the first long-range plan in a while where we might have some space at the back end to program new projects possibly, or maybe reprioritize some projects, working with our partners to kind of scope where we're at, looking at those out years. And maybe add some new wish list items as well that could be eligible but not yet spoken for. those are the kinds of items that we've added to the program in the past, where we identify them as new priorities, but maybe funding hasn't come along yet for them, but they kind of get on people's radar, and that's kind of the first step, so to speak, for scoping new projects. And so we've seen items like the Pittston area bridges and the West Nanticoke Bridge come through that process. And so it's not an insignificant process. We may also have our Safe Streets and Roads for All plan moving along near the tail end of the LRTP. So we may have some ideas from that plan, as well as the other periodic safety studies that we conduct to have ready that we can identify in the LRTP. And so we'll be looking to hire a consultant to help the two counties develop this long-range plan. The Luzerne County Council has taken the lead in fronting the money, and then Lackawanna has graciously agreed to reimburse us for half of our trouble along the way, and as we move forward, and then we'll be seeking reimbursement, each of us, from state and federal sources to back end that project. And the contract value for the selected consultant will be $140,000. The Luzerne County Mapping Department is also going to be pitching in some work on the project. And we are looking to host interviews for prospective consultants in the last week of April. I don't know if there's any questions, but that's pretty much the project in a nutshell. Thank you.
Any questions for Matt? Okay. Hearing none takes us down to progress reports. I don't know if anyone, I know Steve's not there, so is anyone going to handle the PennDOT Connects?
Yeah, Dean, it's John.
Okay, John.
Just letting everybody know again that on May 7th, from 9 to 11 o'clock, we do have a municipal outreach program where his favorite presenter, Paul Falk, will be in the office to go over different ways PennDOT Connects can help push projects forward and for any preliminary planning projects. If anybody needs the registration is still open. If anybody needs the registration form again, please reach out to myself, Steve, or Emma, or your local educators for that registration form to make sure they can get that sent back up. That's it.
Thanks, John. Takes us down to B, Transportation Improvement Plan. Before I say anything here, I would like to make mention that I got prodded pretty good by FHWA to make sure the committee is aware that while the LLTS MPO develops one work program, that we operate in terms of administratively with PennDOT here as two separate contracts. So one for Lackawanna County and one for Luzerne. Just making sure everyone's aware of that. I thought maybe they already were. I shouldn't have assumed, but thanks for humoring me there and make mention of that. As for the Transportation Improvement Program, I'm soon to get the Colts Transit projects. Once I do that, I'll get them entered in next week, and then we can start the process through ICG. That's our air quality group. And then since we're an orphan area, LLTS is an orphan area, shouldn't take them long, a couple weeks maybe, to get the air quality report out. Once we do that, we should have about everything we need to go out for public comment. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll go to item C under progress reports, the LCTEA microtransit update, and I think that's my friend Kathy.
Thanks again, Dean. So the microtransit that LCTA is working on received some carbon reduction funding last year from the MPO. So providing an update, LCTA is working with a joint procurement through NeoRide. We're looking at a final review of VIA microtransit. So we're anticipating contracting with VIA and starting the microtransit service probably around August or September of this year after the TDP public comment. And we're going to be holding a roundtable discussion with employers on April 30th to gauge opinion on the zones and the service overall. So we'll continue to share any updates as we move forward with that. Thanks.
Any questions for Kathy? Takes us down to D, the Eastern PA Freight Alliance Freight Study. Mary Liz, Jonathan?
Yes, we literally about last week received the a draft rate study. It's a little bit behind schedule. Consultant WSP is looking to schedule a meeting with all the MPOs to discuss it. It's my understanding that Becky informed us they're moving, and she's not able to have a meeting the next couple of weeks, but hopefully we're going to be doing that in the near future. I don't know if John has any addition to.
Yeah, we're just still in the process of reviewing the draft rate study.
Yeah.
Thanks. Any questions for Mary Liz or Jonathan? Which brings us up to E, the hybrid meeting schedule. Our next one will be July 9th. We'll be approving the program. I promised Sue I would make a personal, I'd show up in person, I guess. Do we, and after that, the meeting will be October 8th. No questions on that. Is there anything for other business?
Dean, it's Matt. I make a motion for adjournment.
Yeah, I'm good with that, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll say that
Marlon had
motion.
to leave. Their parking, he validated them, so they're right here. Don't forget them or you'll be coming back.
Hey, Rich, you want to shut us down?
Sure, motion from the coordinating committee to adjourn. Second?
I'll second that, Rich.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Rich. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Very good.
Bye.
Thanks.